Hey guys, it's Sadie, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new speed build. If you're new here, I love to build fantasy stuff, replica and new objects in The Sims 4. And in this video I'll take you through the process of how I built a little magical mermaid hut on a waterfront lot in Sulani. As usual, I used the tool mod by Twisted Mexi to rotate and arrange objects, but you won't need the mod in order to download this build. But without further ado, let's dive into the video. At the beginning of the month, I asked you guys on Twitter if you would be interested in a mermaid themed build since it's May and many creators celebrate it as Mermay, a similar thing to Inktober where you have prompts for each day that shall inspire artists to create something daily. I did not create something daily, but I found a super cute artwork on Pinterest and decided to try and recreate it in the game. It wasn't really planned as a mermaid build first, more as an experiment with the roofing, but it got pretty obvious very soon that this was supposed to be the mermaid project for Mermay. I started to recreate the shape of the roof with some rotated cutting boards. I only had to create one half of the shape, saved it as a room and placed it again facing the other direction, so that I would end up with two sides of the roof, kinda. I hope that makes sense, but with these two I could complete the roof in literal minutes, group selected them, cloned and rotated around a center point with the tool mod until the bottom part of the roof was done. Then I moved on to the top part, which I made out of little blue and petrol gems that you can find in the miscellaneous section. Random fact, one of these gems is called Alexandrite and accurate to the real version of the stone, it shifts color depending in which lighting it's in. It shifts from a blue-greenish color to a reddish-purple, which always made it one of my favorite stones. It's also expensive as heck, I think sometimes even more expensive than diamonds, so pretty sure I'll never be able to afford one, but anyways, just wanted to say that I love the fact that they included this color shift into the game, it's such a neat detail. Back to arranging the gems, I placed them randomly at first, then tried to arrange them in sort of a scale pattern and then went back to the random pattern as it just looked more pretty once I completed the shape. Again, I saved some time by only creating 1/4 of this roof piece and then cloning that selection to complete the shape. In the middle I placed a cool looking vase from Island Living which didn't make it to the final roofing, but I managed to use it as decor somewhere else. I really like this thing and I'm totally happy that I could finally use it for something. Once the top part of the roof was done, I continued to place some gems on the bottom part as well, again being kind of random and trying out what looks best as I go. I placed bigger gems on the center and smaller ones around the edges. Once I was satisfied with how it looked, I put both parts of the roof together and placed some wooden posts as support in between. Super stoked with how this looked so far and excited to add the next detail, which were some ropes with little decorations on them. The ropes itself were made out of debug wooden posts from Eco Lifestyle that I rotated and arranged with the tool mod to look like a rope. Was a bit of a pain not to make it touch the trim of the rooftop, but after some fiddling around I managed it. Onto these ropes I placed blue yarn balls and I think it was around that time that there was no doubt anymore that it's a mermaid build. They kinda reminded me of bubbles and then the sand color of the roof and the growth of crystals, yeah, it definitely was supposed to settle in Sulani. To make the rope look a bit more convincing, I ended up rotating a little curve into the bottom and secured them to the roof with more wooden posts. And with that, the roof was pretty much done, and I continued on the shape of the building itself. Using the same cutting board and tool methods as before, I created a frame in a curved shape all around the room I drew out. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough space to furnish this from the get-go, and starting out with a big room worked really well. Once I had all the wooden parts of the walls in place, I closed the gaps between them with floor decals from Get Together. These don't cast a shadow and also are invisible from the backside, which allowed me to create a second wall while still providing natural light on the inside as well as a nice view from the inside out. Again, I only created half of the shape, placed it again facing the opposite direction and then cloned and rotated around a center point to close up the walls. And after I placed a jungle adventure door and a debug wooden bridge and an awning from Realm of Magic, I moved all ports I've done so far to Sulani, a bit early, which I will soon realize, but hey, here you have a little preview on the final lot. I started to create shell decorations using an island living stool that I rotated and resized to look like a shell. Made 2 of them with slightly different shapes and placed 1 on each side of the entrance, before I checked the debug for more landscaping items I could use. I pulled out some island living stuff, which won't end up in the final product, but it helped for the moment. And then I finally created one of my favorite details of this build, which are some fantasy corals, I guess, made out of the island living vase I used on the roof earlier. I resized, rotated and lowered them to make a cluster of 3 and will later on create some bubbles with Realm of Magic sparkles. I added another little rope and yarn ball decoration to add a bit more interest to the right side, and then I continued to decorate the entrance. I used an arc from Jungle Adventure behind the door and added some clay stars to the walls, which I totally loved. So much that I decided that I wanted more of them, and so I moved back to my puzzle lot in Del Sol Valley. Here I started to align more clay stars on the bottom of the walls, alternating in size and rotations, and then again cloned and rotated around the center to decorate all the sides. I really liked the look of that and decided that I also want it on top, so I group selected, rotated, elevated and aligned what I already had done to make that happen. So I ended up with these 2 parts ready to be combined and completed. More wooden posts on the bottom, before I added back the shells and corals I made previously, and finally added bubbles to all of the corals. I also chose some base game debug rocks and grass thingies that fitted the color and theme of the build, and then I started on the interior. I usually don't really like doing the interiors of my builds, but since this was only 1 room, I wasn't as afraid of it and kinda stoked to start. I let you enjoy some bits and pieces of the furnishing until it's time for the outro. Hope you will enjoy. And with the interior completed, my little mermaid hut was done. You can grab it from the gallery without custom content, and as always I will put a link to the build, as well as to all creators I mentioned, in the description box down below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did so, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also let me know what you would like me to build next. I'm always happy to read your ideas. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, bye bye!